It is interesting that me as a pedestrian here, if I were to get hit by the new Super Duty, it's hitting me about my chest, like kind of the top of my chest, around my nipples, and this Super Duty is hitting me mid-stomach, and I actually don't know which one would be more or less safe. Even with my topper, I can reach down and touch the bottom of my bed on my tippy toes here, and I'm 5'10". There's no way I'm even able to get close to doing that here on the new trucks. 25 years ago, Ford released the first generation of the Super Duty heavy-duty truck. And now here we are in 2024 with an all-new generation. So let's see how far they've come. Hey everybody, it's Charlie from Daily Motor. And today we've got the little bit less of a comparison, a little bit more of a retrospective on the Ford Super Duty. On the left is a 2023 Ford F-250 XLT with the 7.3 liter gasoline Godzilla motor, and on the right is my personal 1999 Ford F-350 Lariat with the 7.3 liter Powerstroke diesel. So again, it's not an exact apples to apples sort of comparison, but I couldn't pass up the opportunity to take you all through a little bit of a walk to explore both of the trucks. And really, it's been fun for myself comparing how far the Ford Super Duty has come over the years. And for those of you who don't know, before 1999, the Ford had just the heavy-duty version of their Ford truck. It went all the way up to 1997, so you could get a 25 or 3500 series version of that truck, and the 7.3 liter Powerstroke came out a little bit before that. But for 1999, they released an entirely new setup, called it the Super Duty, and it was shared virtually nothing from the F-150 and F-250 standard duty trucks, except for the taillights. Other than that, it's a completely different truck. And this, like I said, is my personal truck. I've had this now for about 8 months. I thought I was going to sell it, but I have embraced it. I've embraced the rear-wheel drive. I've embraced the diesel motor, and I've had a whole lot of fun with it. So we actually have quite a few reviews. You can check the link below for a lot of our different coverage. Every time you see it, there's a little bit something different. It is a little dirty right now too, the Oxford white paint, but you can see we've got Husky floor mats from Real Truck. We've got a freshly dyed steering wheel. I've actually just edited that video today of Chris and I refinishing the new steering wheel. We've got some new shocks. I've got some Bilstein 4600s on there from Real Truck as well. Check the link below if you want to pick up anything for your truck from Real Truck. They've been helping me out a lot with this. They helped us out with the Maverick as well. I've been trying to weatherproof and completely waterproof my topper here, so there's some really ugly foam insulation. Trust me, I'm going to go through and sort of clean the truck up a little bit here before too long. But I do have my camping setup in the back as well. If we pop this open, you can see I do use the back of the bed for camping. I've got a bed rug in here, which makes it a nice cozy place to be. Got my sleeping setup. I've got some camping supplies, so a little bit of videos on that, but I do use this truck. It is my technical daily driver when I'm not driving the press vehicles. So if you want to see full review and anything else on the truck, check the link below. But now over to the new truck. Like I said, there's this new generation for 2023. I wish we had a 2024 model year to really have a proper 25-year gap between these two in model years, but it's the same truck as you'd be getting in 2024. This is also a full crew cab. This is also the short bed option, the 6 3/4 foot bed, same as that truck. This, however, is 4-wheel drive, whereas my truck is only 2-wheel drive. It's very difficult to find a 2-wheel drive F-250 or F-350 now. Ford's pretty much putting all-wheel drive or 4-wheel drive on all of them, and that makes sense, honestly. I totally get that. We've got a full review on this truck as well. Check the link below for that. A lot of different coverage. This one's got dampened tailgate, just like mine, but we've got a bed liner in here and a retractable tonneau cover from Ford that it's always been a bit finicky. That slides open like that. It's kind of cool. We've got some power points back here in the bed and tie down points, clamp points, of course. Nice light aluminum tailgate as well. Is it aluminum or plastic? Guess it feels like aluminum. Some side steps on the bed as well. I like that Ford has added those into the Powerstroke, something I don't have. All right, so let's start right up front with the trucks. With the engines, like I said, these are both 7.3 liter motors, but this one is the gas motor. This is a big deal for Ford coming out with this really large gas engine for these trucks. This one making 485 horsepower and 430 pound-feet of torque. Fortunately, they're still giving you a decent amount of room to work in there. Looks like I could get to all the plugs on that side. Yep, all the plugs and coil packs on that side as well. Obviously no turbocharger to worry about or anything. So, you know, I could see having this truck and actually having to work on it. It's kind of nice that you've got enough room to kind of maneuver in there. And then the legendary 7.3 liter Powerstroke diesel. Ford used this engine for about 10 years, and over the years, over that time frame, upgraded it in various forms. This one had the air-to-air intercooler for $19.99, and its power figures were only 235 horsepower, but 500 pound-feet of torque. So this truck, theoretically speaking, after 330,000 miles, still makes more torque than the big boy right here, the big new one. Similarly though, a lot of action going on in here. Being the turbocharged engine, a little bit less room to get into everything in there, but yeah, the previous owner did a pretty good job at maintaining this one and doing their best to keep it in running order. Now, of course, if you were to get a new Super Duty with the equivalent diesel motor, you'd be getting the 6.7 liter Powerstroke, and that makes, in the high output version, 1,200 pound-feet of torque. So this was the top of the line motor back in 1999, and you were getting 500 pound-feet of torque, so over double from the new truck if you're ponying up for that big diesel motor. But even if you're just running with the 7.3, a lot of power to motivate this thing around. Now, some of the real advancements that you see between the two trucks in terms of power are the towing capabilities. And now towing isn't just a matter of how easy it is to pull a trailer or some sort of equipment. It's also how reinforced is the chassis, how well you can stop everything. So even though this truck does make less torque, it's rated much, much higher than the 1999 truck for towing. So my truck can tow up to 10,000 pounds conventionally from the hitch carrier and up to 13,500 pounds with a fifth wheel. So still, you know, a lot of weight, definitely stout for back then. But the new truck can do 17,000 pounds, just over 17,000 pounds in either one, whether you're fifth wheel or on the hitch, which is really incredible if you ask me. And don't get me wrong, you do have to analyze your configuration. Everything's a little bit different depending on axle ratio and cab configuration, but as you're looking at it right here, 17.7 for a fifth wheel and 17.4 for a conventional hitch, which is really impressive compared to what you were able to do with the 1999 truck. Now, if you were to configure this exact truck in a 2024 model, so you were to get a 4x2 F350 single rear wheel diesel with the high output, you would be rated to tow 23,000 pounds on a fifth wheel or a gooseneck. So not quite double, but getting close to double what this truck's rated for. And then if you were to get the maximum possible configuration out of a Super Duty here in 2024, the high output diesel, you're looking at 38,000 pound tow rating. So that's almost triple what this truck is capable of, and this was the top dog back in 1999. So really, really incredible for what the Super Duty has evolved into over 25 years. All right, let's get these hoods closed and talk pricing. Glad they give you hood struts on both of them. This truck new in 1999 was $36,000. And I actually put up a little window sticker here for you to take a look at because blessed be, the original owner included the window sticker for this truck. So he held on to it for all those years. So $36,000 roughly back in 1999. And that comes out to about $68,000 here in 2024 money after adjusting for inflation. The new truck, as you're looking at right here for the 2023 model, comes out at just about $70,000, and the equivalent 2024 would probably be a little bit more. So after adjusting for inflation, these two are about the same price. Now, back in 1999, they only had 3 different trim options. You had XL, XLT, and Lariat. So this is a top dog for 1999. Nowadays, in 2024, they've got those XL, XLT, and Lariat, but then you can also step up even more. You get a King Ranch, you can get a Platinum, and you can get a Limited, which gives you all the bells and whistles. So if you were to build out a truck that's as similar to this as possible. And you were to just get another Lariat, you were to do the Oxford white paint, leather inside, everything. So not all the features, but a similar amount of features to this truck. And you were to get the gas motor, which is similar horsepower figures, you're actually looking at about the exact same price. It'd be about $68,000 for a 2024 truck, which with similar features. And you're getting extra features, obviously. You're getting four-wheel drive built in, you're getting extra safety features and more speakers, everything like that. Now, if you want to throw the diesel motor in there and you want to get similar equipment, but with the diesel, then you're looking at about $80,000 for a 2024 truck. And finally, if you wanted to build out an entire top of the line, similar to what this would have been in 1999, if you want the top dog truck, then you're looking at just about $100,000 for a limited F-250 short bed full crew cab. So yes, inflation has affected the Super Duty a decent bit, but you also have to consider how much you are getting in the new truck. So if you're to get Lariat to Lariat, you're getting a lot of extra features that you couldn't even possibly get with the 1999 truck. Next, let's just take a look at the dimensions of the trucks. In fact, I should park one right next to the other. I wonder if that would, wonder how, you know what, let's do it. Let's hop in the XLT real quick, and I'm gonna pull it right next to the Lariat and kind of compare some dimensions. Now it looks like we are still a little bit ahead of the other truck, but the mirrors are just about equal. And then the cabs are about equal. And the end of the trucks, still a little bit farther forward. So really the dimensions of the trucks have stayed pretty darn similar over the years. But obviously this one, now to be fair, it is a four-wheel drive, so the front end's going to be a little bit higher, but you can see how much higher up the front grille is. And I was actually just seeing a little short clip from the Fort 9 motorcycle channel that I follow, and he was talking about front end safety and how large front ends on pickup trucks have become. And it is interesting that me as a pedestrian here, if I were to get hit by the new Super Duty, it's hitting me about my chest, like kind of the top of my chest, around my nipples, and this Super Duty is hitting me mid-stomach. And I actually don't know which one would be more or less safe, but either way, the hood's a lot higher in the right truck, and the height of the truck in general is so much higher. A lot of that is due to the four-wheel drive, but still. This has fresh shocks in it, so, you know, it shouldn't be sitting that much lower than the truck would have new. I think they've just gotten taller over the years. Let's look at bed height. So if I open up the tailgate here, my truck, all right, just below my hip. And if I open up the bed in the new one, it's right up kind of on my waist. I know that's not very scientific, but pretty notable difference there. And let's just look at the height of the side of the bed. Now you can't fully see because I've got the top around here, but reaching into the bed here, I had to reach up and over. In fact, I can even open my side windows here. Even with my topper, I can reach down and touch the bottom of my bed on my tippy toes here, and I'm 5'10". There's no way I'm even able to get close to doing that here on the new truck. So that is something interesting, that it's so much more difficult to get into the bed on newer trucks than it is with older ones. And again, you know, four-wheel drive versus two-wheel drive, and older but newer, but why does the new truck have to be so tall? The new one's got features like this optional bed step that you can pop out and bring that up, so even though the bed is really high, you can still climb up into it easier with that step. And you have the ability to measure your fish on the back of it. Let's take a look around inside the trucks now. Big wide door opening. The new Super Duty, you can lift the bottom of the seat up and get this huge expanse of interior floor space. I do appreciate that. That's something my truck does not do. And with both of the seats up, you can actually open this part as well and get a little bit of a floor division. Bring this back down. Come on into the back seat. Acres of space. Me as a 5'10" adult, I've got tons of leg room, knee room. Got a panoramic sunroof that is currently closed. Cloth in this one though, because it is an XLT, but the back we got USB-C ports. I've got a 12-volt outlet. I've got a 20-amp wall-style outlet there. I've got vents, cup holders, another cup holder there, some speakers, coat hangers, lights, Very nice place to be if I were spending time back here. Coming into the old truck, I have an electric unicycle. That's because this is how I get to and from the trucks when I'm doing a comparison like this. We got some older leather, that's for sure, and the door doesn't open nearly as wide, so if you're trying to put car seats in here, it's going to be a little tighter. I do have an ashtray back here, though. That is something that the new truck does not have. Now, like I said, the seat bottom doesn't fold, but the seat back does. So you can bring that, and you can see I do have some recovery gear back there. I've got a jump box, and yeah, so a little bit of storage in the back at least. Slam that closed. Got my floor liner back here from Real Truck. Okay, less room, but definitely still enough room to be comfortable. I've got no cup holder on the door, a little bit of a handle up there. I do have a coat hanger, no air vents, no power points. I do have 2 cup holders here, that's good. And I do have a flip down armrest. So that is something that the new truck does not have. But other than that, yeah, definitely more limited in the older truck. Coming into the front of the 99, I see power adjust up, back and front. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8-way power adjust seats. We've got adjustable lumbar support that is manual and manual adjustable tilt, recline there. Window lock. These are aftermarket, not necessarily aftermarket, but later model year mirrors that extend outward manually for towing. Got a lot of pocketry in the door. No sort of grab handle with which to get in and out of the truck. This has the 6-seat configuration, so I've got a seat right there, storage, cup holders, 2 12-volt power outlets. I do have an aftermarket Pioneer radio here that gives me Apple CarPlay and Android Auto support. A little bit of storage up top. Sun visors that do not extend, but they do have mirrors at least. Some center console storage right there. Spot for change, for paying those tolls real easy. And I have a glove box. Another ashtray that doesn't like to open very easily, so we're going to leave that closed. Trailer brake controller that was added aftermarket. And that is about it. I forgot to mention the size of the wheels. I have 16-inch wheels on my truck. Let's see what the tire size is. 265/75 R16s. What do we have on the new truck? I know they're 18s, right? Yep, 18s, 275/70 R18s. Now on this XLT model, we've got 1, 2, 8-way, actually 10-way power adjust seats because we've got power lumbar adjustment as well. And power extending outside mirrors, trailer mirrors. The 8-speaker B&O sound system. Do have a handle to pull myself up in, and got a little American flag right there in case you forget which country this truck was made in. Rubber steering wheel. I didn't mention that the Lariat obviously has leather steering wheel. Rubber steering wheel here in this XLT model. Electronic trailer brake controller built in the Pro Trailer Backup Assist. That actually is not a gimmick. If you own a trailer regularly and operate it, I would highly recommend getting yourself that feature in the Fords. It's very nice to have. This one has a center console safe installed, but huge center console right there. But of course you're missing that 6th seat. Some cup holder action, USB-A and USB-C ports, bunch of climate controls, and not 1 but 2 glove boxes. A little bit of extra storage space there. That pano sunroof and extendable sun visors. All right, well, let's go for a drive, huh? I think it's gonna be more fun to take the old truck out first. So let me get this thing parked and we'll go for a drive. Now, of course, we've got standard old school key for the 99 truck, no push button start. Roars to life. Get our air conditioning going. As I said, 330,000 miles on this truck. I put about 3,500 miles on it since getting it, so a lot of it was just from that first owner who owned it so well. Of course, this being a double din radio setup. You can install your own aftermarket systems in there pretty easily. That's not the largest screen, but it does give me my music played directly from my phone. Got some aftermarket Pioneer speakers in here. So despite it being a 4-speaker sound system, it's not woeful. It's just not great, and plus you're always hearing that. Which, hey, could be worse. Putting all that 230 horsepower to work. And one of the nice things about heavy-duty trucks is that if they're maintained well, they'll last a really long time. Obviously, the diesel trucks have a little bit more propensity to last longer. I mean, 330,000 miles is really not unheard of for a 7.3 Powerstroke. But even the rest of the truck, I mean, it's built heavy-duty, and if it's not really being pushed to the limit every single day, if it's just kind of being used by a standard owner like myself, yeah, just do your regular maintenance, and it's really going to last a long time. This transmission was rebuilt at 300,000 miles, and it does have a shift kit in first and second gear, so it does kind of have a rougher shift from 1 to 2, but that's in order to actually make the transmission last longer when it's towing heavy. In front of me, I've just got nice, simple analog gauges. I've got even analog tripometer and odometer. Got gauges for oil pressure, battery voltage, fuel, oil temp, and speed and tachometer. I mean, that's it. Up top, I've got temperature and fuel, MPG, and distance to empty. In fact, I'm going to reset our fuel economy average right here. We're going to try to remember to do it in the other truck right here as well, and we'll compare what we get. I do like the general cabin layout of this truck. It's simple, and I've got a spot to put my phone or wallet here or there or up here or in there. Got spots for drinks, even though they're not the most robust cup holders. If you've just got a water bottle or something, they're usually okay. It's a simple cabin layout, but you do have a little bit of storage up there as well. It just works, and it's comfortable. These seats are comfortable. This armrest gives me a nice spot to rest my elbow. It's functional, and yeah, there's a lot of plastic in it, but it's not frustrating. I've never minded driving it around. This 1999 model came before they had adjustable pedals in the lariat, and they also came before heated seats. So it's kind of just the one pedal position, and the wheel doesn't come in or out either. There's no telescoping steering wheel, so it's just up and down. But yeah, you are a little bit more limited in the feet and hand position depending on your body size. There's full tilt. Woo! Right up to speed. You just gotta lean into it. That's the thing with the 7.3 is, yeah, it doesn't make a ton of power, but you just gotta give her the beans and let that turbo do its work. Now, part of it is the new shocks that I just put here on the truck, but I honestly do think my truck rides better than the new truck, and maybe the springs are just more wore out, so it's got more compliance, or maybe it's the fact that it's just two-wheel drive, or the fact I've got the topper on there, so it's just got a little bit of extra weight. But yeah, this is a 3500 series truck as opposed to the 2500 series, and we'll see as we kind of do some turns and pull in and out of parking lots. My truck is a smoother ride. I don't know what's going on with it. Maybe my tire pressures are low or something. Got no form of TPMS, obviously. Once you're cruising 60 miles per hour, I mean, this thing, you're always hearing the motor, but it just settles right in and cruise. Tons of visibility, nice low hood line. It's a nice place to be. Now, owning a 1999 truck, are there any features in here that I wish I had that are more commonplace on a new truck? Honestly, not really. I mean, the fact that I do have an aftermarket head unit that gives me Apple CarPlay and Android Auto and a backup camera that thankfully the previous owner had installed professionally and it works well, there's really not anything that I kind of go from all these new cars that I get to drive every week and then get into this and go, man, I really wish I had that. I mean, it's got your must-haves. It's got air conditioning, the backup camera. I guess maybe proxy key, just so that I didn't have to get the key out of my pocket every time I come up to the door, but that's probably one of the only modern conveniences that I'm missing. Admittedly, if we lived in a colder climate, I would miss the heated seats. I would want to have those, but you could get those in later first-gen Super Duties. I don't really miss adaptive cruise control. In fact, the new truck doesn't have it either, but I don't mind just kind of standard cruise control. It would be nice to have newer safety features in an emergency sort of situation. Obviously, having automatic emergency braking, collision avoidance assistance, those sort of things are going to be good when the situation comes up. I should also mention that the steering is quite a bit heavier on this truck, and it does have a new steering pump and new steering box, so I think part of it is just kind of the design of the truck. Obviously, we've got a big heavy diesel engine in the front of this, and the newer one's going to have a more advanced power steering system, but that is one thing that makes this truck harder to drive around on a daily basis than the new one. Heavy steering. Only a 4-speed transmission in the old truck versus the 10 speeds of the new one. So the new one is shifting all the time. Now, that being said, it does shift so... Wow, nice red light run there. Now, that being said, it does shift so smoothly that you hardly notice it shifting, but it is happening all the time, whereas this truck, I mean, we're in 3rd gear right now, and then eventually, once I have to stop accelerating up this hill, lean off it, and there's the 4th gear shift. That is something with the old 7.3's though, it's just not a peppy motor. It feels like an old hound dog that it can still do it. You gotta come on, man, let's go. We're going outside today, come on, let's get up. And then finally it's like, okay, all right, I'm going. It still has the ability, but it's just not tuned to be a fast, peppy sort of powertrain. And what it does is it just results in kind of a nice, chill sort of experience. You just kind of drive along. You don't worry about speed limits too much because you're not really getting up to them very quick anyway. It's relaxing. Now, I have owned a 5.4 liter 2002 Super Duty as well, and that one was extended cab, short box. And that one was a little bit happier to kind of play around, and I'd say if you want more of a sprightly, modern feeling Super Duty of this gen, the first gen, get yourself one of the gas motors. But I do really like driving this truck around. I like having it. The more time that I spend with it, the more I grow to like it. It's an enjoyable experience. It's got character, and there's not really anything I drive new that feels like this truck, and that's part of the appeal to me. Coming through this parking lot, I'll show you what I mean about the ride. Maybe it's the new shocks, but this thing really does. It rides well. It doesn't have the stiffness of the new truck. Backup camera coming in handy. Also the trailer mirrors. Into the new one. And one thing I do wish my truck had that I believe was optional back then is the touchpad. It's something I always appreciate with Fords, being able to dial your code in and unlock the door. You have a little bit less door storage in the new one, but obviously a good amount of storage elsewhere. And you could get this center console layout in the 99 truck as well. And you can also still get the 6-seater configuration. Still have physical climate control, something I don't mind on the new truck. Full disclosure, I did ask Ford if we could get a 6.7 Powerstroke 3500 in order to compare with that truck, but this is all they had, so this is what we're working with. Obviously, much bigger screen in here. You've got the Android Auto coming up wirelessly again, taking up much more of the screen. It's brighter, it's easier to see, and a huge screen in front of us as well. Still got the column shifter, much easier to shift. And oh my gosh, the steering is just so light. I mean, this is like car level steering in the new truck. Aside from the ride, it just feels like driving any other sort of modern vehicle. There's no longer a compromise for having to drive a heavy-duty truck with such incredible towing and driving capabilities. This is just drives like a normal vehicle. The 7.3 liter still does give you a nice V8 gas sound. I've enjoyed that driving it around. In fact, I've had no qualms with the powertrain in this at all. The 10-speed works well, and the engine seems to work well. In fact, this probably is one of the best engine and transmission pairings that I've experienced from the Ford truck division in a long time, because they've had a lot of issues with their 10-speed, and I haven't always enjoyed it in the F-150s, but they seem to have it down pretty well here in the F-250. Our gauge cluster has given us pretty similar information directly in front of us. I've got oil temp, actually that's coolant temp, isn't it? I've got coolant temp, oil pressure, transmission temp, and distance to empty, as well as digital speed and analog tachometer. But of course, if I bury myself in the menus, I can get all sorts of different information for various elements of the truck and driving statistics. Overall, the greenhouse is smaller in this truck, but its safety protection is much stronger. There are definitely stories and lawsuits about the first generation Super Duty not providing fantastic rollover protection, but that is not an issue here with these new trucks. It is harder to see out in front of us, the hood taking up more visual real estate, but we've got a 360-degree camera, and that helps mitigate. All right, resetting our fuel economy again. I think the Powerstroke, we had like 12, 13 mpg, and that readout is fairly accurate. It's a little bit high though, so I think we'll double check it. It's probably about 12. I haven't been getting fantastic fuel economy with this truck since I got it. Around town, about 10 mpg, whereas my truck, I can usually average about 13, 14 miles per gallon. And then on our highway fuel economy test, this truck achieved 16 miles per gallon, whereas our truck achieved 17 miles per gallon. And that's according to the pump calculations. But again, that's diesel fuel, so a modern Powerstroke's probably getting well over 20, and a gas motor from back then, the V10, was probably getting pretty darn low. Yeah, this thing revs out, going a lot faster in such a short period of time than I was in my truck. I mean, you can't argue with nearly double the horsepower. Again, pretty quiet in here. You hear a little bit of wind coming through those tow mirrors, but in general, place to get pretty comfortable. Now, while there isn't really anything that I am jealous about having in the new truck versus my old one, there's also, I don't have any problem being in the new truck either. There's not really anything that annoys me about this one. I mean, you still have got physical adjustments for your climate and for your volume and track and everything. You still have a nice column shifter, good buttons on the steering wheel. It's not like the new F-150s with the annoying console shifter that opens up and down. I don't like the larger screen in the newer trucks, the more high-end Ford trucks. I prefer this screen setup. The steering wheel at least has tilt and telescope as well. No pedal adjustment in this truck though, I don't believe. The mirrors are power adjust, so that's nice. Obviously having some of the extra safety features is a good thing. The seats seem comparably comfortable after a few hours. I am a little disappointed that at $70,000 I'm still getting manual adjust recline seats, but not the end of the world, I guess. Again, there is just that aspect of the firm ride in here. I think that's just kind of the nature of the new truck, but maybe if we had the FX4 package, a little bit more advanced shocks, that'd be a little smoother. Lines there, lining us right up with our parking spot, and then there's that 360 camera I was telling you about. 10.9 mpg, according to this vehicle's readout. What did we have in the old one? 12.8. All right, so yeah, you're spending a little bit more for the fuel cost, but even the old truck getting a little bit better fuel economy on a not very scientific setup there. So 25 years of Super Duty, and in some ways we've come very, very far, and in other ways really not too different. Now, I think you can take solace in the fact that you're getting so much more from a new truck. If you're someone who is in the position to buy a $70,000 truck in 1999 and you're in the position to buy a $70,000 truck here in 2024, you're getting more for that dollar in a lot of ways than the new truck. But to get an apples to apples truck, if you wanted to buy a new diesel Lariat F350 here in 2024, you do have to spend more money. So yes, you're getting more things, but you also got to spend more money for the truck. But again, you could get the same amount of towing capability even with probably the 6.8 liter or obviously the 7.3 gas. So it is easier to spend more money on the new truck, but you're getting a lot more stuff too. Now, that being said, should you buy a new one versus get one of the old trucks? To me, it's a pretty clear no-brainer to just go with one of the older ones. Even if you're getting something like an early 6.7 Powerstroke or a later first gen with like the V10 or even the 5.4 liter 2-valve V8, you can get them so inexpensively and buy them from an out west state here where there's no rust and something that's been maintained really well. Obviously, yeah, you're gonna have to do more hard work trying to find something. But if you can find something like this truck was, one owner, super well maintained, I paid $11,500 for this truck in summer of 2023 with 327,000 miles on it. And it's needed a few things, but nothing major. You could buy a truck like this and keep it running and have an enjoyable ownership experience for so much less money than one of these new trucks. And sometimes people come at me and say, oh, well, you're just polluting a whole bunch with that old diesel truck. You know what would pollute more? Buying a new vehicle and going through all of the manufacturing expenses and pollution and energy usage in order to build a new truck versus keeping something old and already existing on the road and running for a long period of time. So for me, I'd much rather spend something like $20,000 on my ideal spec of an older truck, have it and enjoy it. Not to mention, I like the looks of this one better. Now, yes, some of you may have noticed way in the beginning, I should have pointed out that this has aftermarket headlights in the newer grille to look like the newer truck. But I still think this looks better than that one. But of course, driving the newer truck is easier and it's gonna arguably be more reliable and you're gonna have a warranty and a lot of advantages to going with a new truck. Either way, cool stuff from Ford for 25 years of being the leading heavy-duty truck builder. So thank you all so much for watching. If you do want to see more on either truck, check the link below for all of our videos. If you need any truck accessories, check out realtruck.com. And we'll see you on the next one. I'm Charlie from Daily Motor, and as always, Super Duty on.